history is it's a craft of a self-concept. It kind of, what you know from history informs how you view yourself today.
That's
right?
true, yeah.
So if you don't know much about your history as a black person, how are you going to craft yourself as a person of magnificence if that magnificence is absent?
Hi guys, you're here with Black Excellence Bristol, and we are acknowledging aspirations and achievements. I'm here with my good friend Lewis WEDLOCK. I've known, must be over a decade now actually, because we went to school together. Shout out Fairfield High School. If you don't know Lewis already, he's one of the UK's youngest lecturers in social sciences like psychology, personal development as well. He's actually been, he probably knows it by now because I've told him many times, but he's actually a big mentor of mine and a big role model of mine actually, even though he's only a year older than me. But I do very much look up to him, and I'm very honoured to be sat here with him today. So how are you, Lewis?
I'm doing well, bro. Thank you for the nice intro as well.
Oh, gotta step it up for you, royalty in the building and that. The purpose of this conversation is basically just to talk a bit about you as a black person, where you fit into society, your achievements, have they been celebrated, have they not been celebrated, those sort of things basically. As you're a person in the education sector, how has it been, working at UE? Being, is there many black lecturers here, or?
No, there's not. Like in my department, not a lot.
Not a lot.
But that's a reflection of the wider educational space too. Lecturers rather in the sort of higher education space, predominantly white middle class, is sort of replication of the current sort of class system, so to speak. But I am here in this space, and I do really turn up my blackness in the space for multiple reasons, but just because it's my authentic lived experience, right? So it's something that I try to really fill the space with because I have the space to do it. That's something that I'm really sort of keen on across all spaces of the education sector that I'm fortunate enough to be in.
Nice. And how do you think that schools and education system in general can better celebrate black excellence and better uplift black people's achievements, of young black people, of course?
I think it starts with really looking critically at the history that we're taught in school. We've had conversations about this multiple times, but I think the current education system and the history that it tells is almost in a way fascist. And let me explain what I mean by that. Fascism is dependent on really kind of over dramatizing history or tales. It's all about really kind of drawing people into a story, and that story is often wholly false, right? It's about creating a narrative that gets people thinking about enemies and what we need to do to get rid of these enemies. And I feel like the education system as it currently is tells a very dramatized, incorrect version of history that almost writes out black history from all of these events that we're taught to really kind of look at and go, oh my days, World War I, World War II. Like when you really look at the history surrounding that, there's so much black contribution into those spaces. Mention the black and brown bodies that were killed in battle, on the battlefields, giving their life for a country that didn't care where they lived or died. Talk to us young people in the school system about the activism in our city, the bus boycotts, St. Paul's riots, the toppling of Colston. Talk about that impact in the community and what the community was doing to drive those particular historical events. Give us an accurate context to frame ourselves, because history is a craft of a self-concept. It kind of, what you know from history informs how you view yourself today.
That's true, yeah.
So if you don't know much about your history as a black person, how are you going to craft yourself as a person of magnificence if that magnificence is absent from your awareness, right? So it starts with the history, but it also starts with having people like us in school systems. I can't tell you the amount of people that Zazie have impacted just by being black in the space and being able to level with young people and to calm young people down from retaliating to a system that doesn't really want to see them succeed in certain instances. Like having people like us who understand our culture, understand how to interact with people, understand how to take conversation and just most importantly, just understand the culture in the sense of like, he's not aggressive. Like if he's coming at you and he's shouting, yo, what you telling me? You good? Yeah, that's not aggressive. That's excitement, right? He's not disrupting the classroom. He's just being himself.
Yeah.
These things that really, I see a lot of the time in the education system that I think if we started to do that more, we would really prize Black excellence, because we're just letting Black excellence be, as opposed to having Black excellence watered down to fit the wider systemic norm. So
that's a lovely answer. Blackbristol.com. You touch a lot on the historical aspects of Bristol and Black people in Bristol, our historical impacts. But what I also like you do is you very much modernize the Black community, because sometimes I feel like we can be a bit stale with our thinking, a bit backwards. Sometimes, with our views towards gender, our views towards sexuality, for example. And your work you do with young Black men, that's really good about sort of explaining to them how their slang and how the sort of media that they take in is a part of the patriarchy that we exist in, and how that affects our Black women and also all women, to be honest.
Of course, absolutely. So yeah, that's one of the most important things in the job that I do. The jobs that I do is just, like you say, trying to bring everything into the present tense and making it accessible and hopefully impactful in these spaces.
I think it's definitely impactful in the way you phrase things as well. You make it so easy to understand, and you break it down so well. Honestly, I don't know anyone who does it really better, to be honest.
Thank you, my dad. Thank you so much. In terms of goals, long term, I've said before, and it's not from a place of selfishness or sort of ego or arrogance. I want to be the best person to ever do what it is that I've done. And it's not because I'm trying to look at me sort of thing. I believe that if you pursue magnificence at the highest, or try to pursue magnificence at the highest level, and become undeniably fantastic in the spaces that you occupy, you bring up so many other people. For me, being able to be the best by the time I'm done, or at least one of, will enable me to sit back and know that I've opened many, many doors to people and helped many, many young people wherever, to become the best version of themselves. That's my ultimate goal.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you, man.
And thank you so much for sitting down to talk with us today. This has been just amazing to sit down, because we had a conversation like this before and we didn't actually record it, we didn't film it afterwards. We just met up as friends and we thought about it after, and we were like, that'd be a sick podcast. So when I thought I was gonna do this project, the first person I messaged was Lewis. So thank you so much for coming down, brother. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Thank you.